Ajay Bisaria, former High Commissioner to Pakistan. Thanks, Ambassador Bisaria, very much for being with us.
Thank you, Vishnu. Great to join you here.
You would have studied the Pakistan Army Chief very closely. He was the DG of their ISI as well. He seemed to be entirely unpredictable. Is that the avatar that he seeks to create for himself, or is it genuine unpredictability which needs to be a cause of serious concern for us?
Yes, Vishnu. I think much of what we are seeing in starting from Pahalgam to now is all about Asim Munir. And, this is an army chief who was beleaguered, who was in an internal crisis, and a strong driver for his behavior has been the internal crisis he faces and the attempt to use this crisis to bolster his position within the country. And that is why I would agree with General Hasnain that he is positioning himself to be an irrational actor. His risk appetite is much greater than that perhaps of his predecessor, and certainly more than that of the civilians. So you saw a bizarre situation unfold in Pakistan today, that when India offered in the Foreign Secretary's statement a de-escalation off-ramp, the civilians seemed to think it was a good idea by saying we've already done what we need to, and if India doesn't do anything else, we can get off. And the army comes and overrules them and says, no, we have to retaliate. So this is about a lot of this that we are seeing unfold is about an army chief trying to establish his internal position. And this is not new. We saw this, the early Musharraf attempt, Kargil, he got power through it. He had the parliament attack in 2001 when he felt his position was weak. His successor, Kayani, wanted to distance himself from Musharraf going soft. And so he did the Mumbai attack. So I think this is part of the same sort of syndrome in Pakistan, that a little skirmish with India, which he would hope to control, will re-establish his domestic position.
What is the off-ramp from here onwards for us?
Well, I think India did offer a clear off-ramp. Incidentally, I think our action demonstrated that India acted with a great deal of political courage, with military precision, with smart strategic communication. What India established was credible deterrence, established its doctrine of zero tolerance of terrorism, but also signaled an off-ramp that India was also accompanying this escalation with a strong de-escalatory instinct. And it was for Pakistan to accept that and say that they had already done whatever damage they claimed to have done. But right now, I think Pakistan is compelled to go into the second or third rung, if you will, of escalation. Pakistan will escalate this situation, and Asim Munir will be willing or waiting for the Indian blow that will come. So the attempt, of course, will be to operate below India's threshold of response. But if it exceeds India's threshold of response, India is going to be climbing the next rung of escalation. And that for Pakistan will be dangerous, because the chances of a conventional war breaking out are strong, where Pakistan is much weaker than India.
Ambassador Bisaria, are you satisfied with the international reaction which we've had not just today, but over the past few days, in terms of supporting India in our fight against terrorism? Couldn't some of the language, including from our closest allies, including the United States, have been stronger?
I would read the international situation as a good deal of support for India. And if you read between the lines, what the Americans told us and the others told us was essentially, do what you have to. We understand. We support your campaign against terrorism, but please contain it. Don't let it escalate beyond a point. And really speaking, you won't expect any other kind of advice. Nowhere is anyone condemning Indian action or questioning Indian action. It is supporting Indian action or against the terrorists in the first instance, but saying after that it is a dangerous situation and ought to be de escalated. So I would read this as broad support. I would argue that in the trajectory of this century, the support has gone stronger as countries have recognized India's legitimate right to react to terrorism, and also realize the kind of challenge India faces from Pakistan. So I would say that there is a broad recognition of India's right. There will also be now, as we climb the escalatory ladder, a strong push from the global community to try to ask both countries to de-escalate, which is understandable.
In fact, that was my next question. The Russian Foreign Ministry has said, and I quote, "We're deeply concerned about the aggravation of military confrontation between India and Pakistan. We urge the parties involved to show restraint." France has come out with a statement. France deeply concerned about the latest developments, calling for de-escalation and the protection of civilians. So, the two major countries over here, others would have said the same thing. Look, it's time to bring the tensions down. Who does that in a situation like this? How do you bring tensions down in a situation like this? Because essentially what you're looking to do is to right size Indian military action, saying that this is as much as we want it to be and no more, when we are dealing with an unpredictable person or unpredictable system on the other side of the boundary. And then if Pakistan retaliates, there's nothing that stops us from again retaliating, and then you're going up that escalation matrix.
Absolutely. I think this is the critical challenge, and this is the classical challenge. And if you study the example of the last time around between Pulwama and Balakot, and after Balakot, there was a Pakistani response, but we lucked out by having a off-ramp for Pakistan in the sense that the Indian pilot was down and India threatened to escalate, and Pakistan decided to de-escalate by handing the pilot back. But that was something that where the global community stepped in and amplified India's message and made it quite clear to Pakistan it was not in their interest to escalate. So what we are facing now is a potential situation of Pakistan escalating to the next level, India, escalating further as a reaction to that, and therefore to break this chain, there will be certainly a lot of global pressure particularly on Pakistan, because Pakistan's claims that its escalation is imminent, and thereafter, a temptation for Pakistan. Pakistan ought to be incentivized to accept the off-ramp that India has already offered, in terms of saying that these are non-escalatory measures. These are targeted only at terrorists, not at the Pakistan military or civilians. Pakistan will have to is possibly going to invent a fiction of some terrorist targets in India or attack military installations, which would cross India's threshold. And therefore, it's a dangerous situation. And I think the world will take note, must take note, and try and restrain Pakistan from doing something really crazy.
Ambassador Bisaria, thanks very much for being with us.